I am a big fan of the first season of Jessica Jones. I think comparatively it's probably the second or third best season of the Marvel Netflix era, behind Daredevil seasons 1 and 3. I did watch season 2 of Jessica Jones when it premiered, but I honestly didn't remember much, and now I know why. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and tell a friend if you haven't. And if you're new here, check out the rest of the channel, and let me know what you think. Let's dive into Jessica Jones Season 2. Man, what happened this season? It's just such a drop off from season 1. It's not bad, but it's just so middling. It's insane. Honestly, everything from the story and the villain to the performances, writing, and even set designs, it all pales in comparison to season 1. Kristen Ritter is great as this character. She picks up right where she left off in season 1 and The Defenders. She's fine, but her story is just kind of all over the place. This season spends so much time trying to decide if her character desires to understand what really happened to her, that by the time the narrative finds its main focus, it's just too little too late. I really like the rest of the cast in this show as well, and a lot of the supporting characters get their own stories and more focus, which isn't a terrible idea, because all of their narratives are compelling. It just kind of drops the ball on the execution. Trish becomes addicted to the same drugs that Simpson was using, as she wants to become a hero herself, jealous of Jessica. Malcolm goes through his own journey as he tries to become a private eye himself and hone his skills and learn from Jessica. And even Jerry faces her own crisis as her partner's attempts to out her from her firm, and she discovers an underlying illness that will soon lead to her demise. It's all compelling, all of it. Even the main narrative with Jessica tracking down a killer, only to discover that that killer is her mother, saved by the same procedure that saved Jessica herself. The problem with this season is that the execution is nowhere near efficient or creative as it was in season 1. The story suffers from so many pacing issues. As I've stated before, ad nauseum, these Netflix seasons should have been 10 episodes, and so far this season is the best example of it. It is ungodly slow at some parts. Not to mention it feels like Jessica tracks down and captures her mother like 4 different times, only for her to escape or Jessica to break her out. It's extremely repetitive. And look, I don't mind Alyssa being the villain. Her character is interesting, being forced into this solitary life, believing her whole family is gone, forced into a procedure that made her physically powerful, only for it to leave her mind ridiculously fractured. But this character, one, has to follow up on Kilgrave, who is, let's be honest, one of the GOAT villains of the MCU. And two, it feels like the writers don't really know how they want to write her. It's unclear a lot of times throughout the show whether you are supposed to empathize with her or just plain despise her. Then there's the issue with this show's dialogue. It's insanely cheesy throughout a lot of portions of this show. Like, egregiously cheesy. In fact, this whole season feels like a cheap USA Network reboot or knockoff of the original season. The sets look so dull and tacky. The action is just so much worse than what it was. Anytime Jessica does any sort of chase sequence, poor Kristen Ritter looks so goofy running that it's unbelievable. How did no one see the dailies for this season and say, okay, we got to get a trainer in here to fix this? Or put in a stunt double? Considering the brutal and visceral action in Daredevil and Punisher and even sometimes Luke Cage, a lot of the action here feels like a student film. Like, there are parts when Jessica and Alyssa are punching through walls or flipping tables or breaking something, and the prop or wall or whatever it is just clearly very thin drywall or cardboard. It's just so confusing as to where the money went in this season. After rewatching this season, I understand why I never got around to watching season 3. I was just so put off by how much season 2 dropped the ball. I have heard that season 3 does redeem this character in a lot of ways, and so I am interested to see how they improve the narrative around Jessica, and I'm excited to dive into season 3 regardless. But season 2, unfortunately, is nothing but average.